Bring your stroller inside with you.
Your safari guide for the next 2 weeks are on the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. Above your head is an animal spotting guide that is there to help you identify some of the animals we can see out on safari. We probably won't see all of them, we only have 2 weeks, but we normally do have some pretty good luck. Please take the time to secure cameras and cell phones, Mickey ears, and magic bands. If you have any children with you, they must be seated at all times. On your lap or on the seat beside you is fine. What is not fine is for me to look up and see you hold your kids in the air like Simba. So please remember to stay seated at all times with hands and arms in the truck at all times. It's also important to remember these are wild animals. They come and go as they please. Have your camera cell phones ready to go and might not be able to stop for them. They don't always stop for us either. We begin our adventure today in the Little Turi Forest. Animals out here have some pretty great camouflage. They have natural colors and markings to blend in with their surroundings. Up on your right side, very top right corner of the hill, there is one of my all-time favorite animals. This is the okapi. The okapi is the closest living relative of the giraffe, not the zebra despite stripes on its legs. It's a pretty shy and reclusive animal. The okapi was at first officially documented by explorers out in the Congo until the year 1901. The Democratic Republic of Congo in Central Africa is the only place you can find the okapi in the entire world. They are an endangered species due to habitat loss. Also, unlike their cousin the giraffe, they're pretty solitary animals, which means you don't typically see them living in big herds. They spend a lot more of their time alone. And sometimes we are even lucky enough to find a black rhino out in these parts, but unfortunately it's becoming quite the rare sight. While in the 1950s there were approximately 500,000 black rhinos in Africa, today there are fewer than 5,000. They're hunted extensively for their horns. Wait a second, take a look onto your left side, the very top of the hill, that is a black rhino. Wow. Now the horn on a rhino is unlike any horn of any other animal on earth because it's not made of bone, it's made of a protein called keratin, and some people believe that keratin has a medicinal purpose, but can you tell me what people have made of keratin? Your hair and your fingernails, that's exactly right. But I know that you've never been told by a doctor to bite your nails if you weren't feeling good. That is because keratin has zero medicinal purpose, and science has proven that. On your right side, this 10 antelope is a greater kudu. Greater kudu are the second tallest antelope in Africa, at about 5 feet tall at the shoulder. It's also a female. I know that because she doesn't have any horns. Only male greater kudu grow horns. Really beautiful spiral-shaped horns that are going to be about 6 feet in length. Further up on our left here, take a look, you'll see the bongos. Bongos are known as the ghosts of the forest. They have a beautiful deep orange coloration. If you look closely out here, you'll notice the adult bongos have big, heavy, backwards-facing horns. That's helping them clear through the stick or brush and be relatively undetected, hence that nickname, the ghost. Big adult male in the middle there, 2 juveniles with him. We're going out now to the Safi River. Safi River has been known to be a pretty good place to try and find the one, the only, the Nile hippopotamus. The word hippopotamus comes from the Greek meaning river horse, but the most recent research shows us that hippos are related to whales. Hippos are also nocturnal. That means they do a lot of what during the day? A lot of sleeping. Majority of the day, hippos are going to be pretty quiet. They're not going to be their most active until after the sun sets. That's when they're out of the water to graze. So once the sun sets, hippos are going to walk upwards of 6 miles away from the river to make sure they're eating adequate nutrition. It's about 80 to 90 pounds of vegetation every single night. Now they'll return back to the river by the time the sun rises, and they're going to spend about 16 to 18 hours a day in the water to keep themselves cool. We're going to keep moving upriver here. Hippos aren't the best swimmers in the rivers of Africa, but they can hold their breath for about 8 minutes underwater before coming up for air. And I do see some hippos hanging out in the river here on our left. Does anyone know what we call a group of hippos? That's a bloat. Bloat hippos. I also see some pink-backed pelicans here. Pink-backed pelicans get their name because during breeding season the skin on their back turns pink. These pelicans are not in breeding season right now, but if you look closely to these front nests here, you might see 2 little chicks underneath those females that just hatched. Believe it or not, though, hippos are actually one of the most feared animals in Africa. They're very territorial and very aggressive. An adult male hippo can weigh in at over 5,000 pounds and still clear up to 20 miles an hour on land. They also grow big tusks in their mouths that they use to defend themselves and their territory. Hippos are herbivores. They don't want to eat you, but they really don't want you touching their stuff. Here's another feared animal of Africa, the Nile crocodile. Nile crocodiles are an apex predator. They're at the top of the food chain. They have a bone-crushing bite of about 2,000 pounds of pressure per square inch. This allows them to take down any potential prey that is at the water's edge. At about 16 to 18 feet long, full-grown, that modern-day dinosaur is about as long as a giraffe is tall. But And we've made it to the river okay today, so let's head out to the savannah. The savannah is a very different ecosystem, very diverse, home to many unique plants and animals, so we're gonna head out here and see what we can find. Oh, on the right I see a baobab tree. Baobab trees are also known as the upside down tree because it kind of looks like a truther on the top. That's because baobab trees are able to remain leafless for up to 9 months out of the year, helping them retain water. By not having leaves on its branches, the tree isn't losing as much water. Instead, it's storing hundreds of gallons within its roots in an inch trunk. And that is why the tree swells up like it does. During the dry season, baobab trees can become their own source of water. The savannah continues to be one of the most famous and one of the most recognizable ecosystems in all of the world. Lions, giraffes, elephants, zebras, they all call the savannah home. But unfortunately, this is also one of the ecosystems that is hit hardest by the effects that humans are having on the environment. Out to our right side, here's some animals with big white horns. These are Ankole cattle. The smaller, kind of more cinnamon-colored animal with a white underbelly or springbok. Ankole cattle are also known as the Watusi cattle for the Watusi tribe in Africa that first successfully domesticated them. Their horns can go to be about 4 feet long on each side, but are nearly completely hollow in the middle, except for a honeycomb structure that's filled with a series of blood vessels that run through them. Ankole cattle are able to circulate their blood externally to keep themselves cool. Now the smaller animal we saw, the springbok, is one of the most athletic animals in all of Africa. Despite their small stature, they can jump about 6 feet into the air and 13 feet across. It's a motion called pronking, using these big high leaps in the air to frighten away predators. There's no mistake now on your right side here, tallest animal in the world, and that is a giraffe. Giraffes are about 18 to 20 feet tall, full grown. And on our left are the African wild dogs. Now I know what you're thinking, but no, these are not hyenas. It's a completely separate subgroup of canin. Wild dogs are one of the most ferocious hunters in all of Africa, even better than some of the big cats. They have incredible endurance, which enables to chase their prey down to the point of exhaustion and wait for it to drop. Well, circle one chase it from there. We do make sure the youngest dogs in the pack eat first though, so I've always thought that was pretty nice. Coming up on our left here, you'll see a brown antelope called the sable. Sable antelope are the emblem of Harambe Wildlife Reserve. Their horns go to be about 42 inches in length, and they use them to fend off predators. They'll knock their horns back and try and lose any potential predator that's trying to attach themselves for an easy meal. So they don't back down from a fight. Very brave animals. Now these are females, and we can tell that because of their color. Male sables are going to mature into a jet black, while the females do that deep brown. On our right side, here's the Patterson's eland, largest antelope on the reserve. You can see that gorgeous adult male eland there. He's almost 6 feet tall and about 2,000 pounds. Now behind him are 2 juvenile males, so you see they have a lot of growing to do. We also have some beautiful giraffes around the trees here. Now these are Maasai giraffes. It's one of 4 different species of giraffe that live in Africa. The Maasai giraffe are known for a very jagged and irregularly shaped spot pattern, but regardless of species, no 2 giraffes will ever have the same set of spots. They're like human fingerprints are unique to each animal. Now you see this little guy here on your left doesn't quite look 18 to 20 feet tall because he's under a year old. When a giraffe is first born, it's still about 6 feet tall and 150 pounds. Even as a newborn, a giraffe looks you right in the eye. My favorite thing about giraffes, though, are definitely their tongues. Giraffes have what's called a prehensile tongue. That means they can grip things with it. Giraffes are able to wrap their tongues around a big tree branch and then pull the leaves right off the tree. It's also very dark in color and very thick to help protect it from the sun and particularly tiny branches. Did you know a giraffe's tongue could be up to 18 inches long? Another really unique behavior of the giraffes are their sleeping patterns. Giraffes sleep on average only about 30 minutes a day, and they're going to do so standing up. Very vulnerable position for a giraffe to lay down. Now on our right side grazing, you can see a couple of light-bearded wildebeest. Wildebeest are responsible for one of the largest animal migrations in all of the world. Over 1.5 million wildebeest will make their way across Africa every year in search of fresh food and water. The word wildebeest comes from the Afrikaans for wild cow. They're known for a long, drawn face, curly horns, and shaggy beard, which is also to give them a pretty menacing appearance. But as we move through the cover of these trees, it's most important to remember that while here on the reserve, we're able to protect the trees, the tall grasses, and the watering holes. Out in the wild, the places the animals depend on for food and water and shelter, it's all disappearing, it's being destroyed, and unfortunately the animals are disappearing along with it. That's why it's so important now more than ever to make sure you're recycling paper, plastic, aluminum cans, trying to buy products made of recycled materials, and reusing things you already have at home. That goes a long way to protecting these animals in the wild Africa that still exists. Now you remember earlier we saw that big male Patterson's eland? These are females on your left. So you definitely can see a size difference there between the boys and girls. Up ahead now, we move through an area nicknamed Monkey Point for a troop of mandrills we see out here from time to time. Mandrills are the largest and most colorful monkey in the world. The alpha mandrill is going to be about 100 pounds full grown. But you know what? Oh my gosh, take a look out to your right side here. That is an adult male African elephant, also known as the bull elephant. Now I know this is a male because he's by himself. The adult male elephant tends to be very solitary. He's only going to join big herds of females during breeding season. Apart from that, he spends most of his time alone eating. Anywhere from 200 to 300 pounds of food every single day to maintain his 12,000 pound weight.
Does he swim?
Elephants are actually really good swimmers. Yeah, they'll get right down in the water. Let's keep heading out this way though. I know a little shortcut should knock a couple of days off of our... Oh no. Oh my gosh, this is really awkward. I am so sorry you guys. The road wanted to take us down. It is closed. It does look like that male elephant's collapsed the road, making his way out to the watering hole. Goodness. Oh, these South African roads don't handle 12,000 pounds of elephant like they used to, you know. Alright, well I guess that means we're taking a detour. Lucky for you, I do love an adventure, so... Kuna Masada, no worries. Okay, alright. So it looks like we found an old service bridge. I don't know about you, but I feel like this bridge has seen some better days. Also, unfortunately for you, I skipped the chapter about putting this truck in reverse, so we're just gonna be really careful out here. Oh, that does sound pretty terrible. It's fine, just let's close our eyes. I mean, you close your eyes. I'm a professional. It's fine. Front doors, over, I'm safe. Alright. How are we doing? Okay?
Yeah.
Perfect. I gotta bring
your eyes are open.
Yeah, I gotta bring my police happy to keep my job, so hang in there.
Interesting front hand.
I haven't decided yet.
Oh.
Lots of tusk marks and footprints in this red clay. You know, elephants have been known to use red clay as a source of vitamins and minerals. They knock it loose with their tusks and they eat it, kind of like you take a daily multivitamin. Now we talked about this a little bit already, but we do tell quite a bit about an elephant from the size of the herd. With that adult male elephant being so very solitary, we know that more than one elephant gathered together out here is going to be adult females and their young. Elephants are a matriarchal animal, so the herd is led by the strongest and wisest female. Elephants within that herd are going to share the responsibilities of raising the young and protecting one another. And then, after a 22-month-long pregnancy, an elephant gives birth to his 300-pound calf. And that calf will stay with mom for about 13 to 15 years. Elephants have the longest pregnancy of any mammal on Earth, but it's only the second longest childhood, because that's second to what? Humans, yeah. You can see a young elephant out to your left, enjoying a big mud puddle, throwing some mud and some dirt all over her body. Now elephants have really thick skin, but it's still very sensitive. So they're going to use that mud as a kind of a natural sunscreen or a bug spray. You also get a peek at the youngest elephant out on the savannah here. If you look all the way out to the baobab tree there. We started seeing that calf back here in December, so we're guessing she's close to 9 months old. Now, unfortunately, elephants face a number of dangers out in Africa. Not only are their habitats being destroyed, but it's estimated that 96 elephants are slaughtered every single day for their beautiful ivory tusks. To protect elephants from poachers and reverse that decline, we have to work together. We must refuse to buy products in any way, shape, or form made of ivory. Be very vocal about the changes we want to see for these animals. Many people do not know exactly where ivory comes from, but I promise you right now that anything and everything made of ivory, it has always come at the expense of an elephant. Out to the left are some greater flamingos. The greater flamingo is the lightest pink of all flamingo species. Although when any flamingo first hatches, it is so not pink, more of a grayish black color. It takes about 1 to 2 years of eating brine shrimp and other crustaceans, rich in a protein called beta-carotene. And it's a buildup of beta-carotene that turns their feathers pink. So not to be confused with keratin, which is what makes them a rhino horn. It's beta-carotene. Look up ahead here. I see some white rhinos up in the mud wallows here. Now I'm gonna guess from the behavior of this group, it's probably females and a male rhino trying to court them. I don't think it's going too well though. Now the skin of a rhino, it is so tough and so thick that it's nearly completely impenetrable. Rhino skin is nearly 2 inches thick. They have no natural predators, you guys. Not lions, not cheetahs, not crocodiles. The only thing hunting rhinos out in the wild are people. So one of the projects that the State Conservation Fund has been involved with is the funding of education and training for teams in Africa to try and monitor their safety.
You mentioned about the elephants showing up in January. Do you not participate in like a breeding program? Did that happen naturally?
We want to talk about that stuff. We'll talk about it when we get back to the exit, okay?
Sorry.
White rhinos, as you can see, they are not really white. The name comes from a mispronunciation. The Afrikaans word for wide, big square upper lip, which are perfect for going down tall grasses out on the savannah. So now we know what we call a group of rhinos. Crash. Now there's the cheetah. She's moving out to the tree line there. Oh, I don't know if she's going to come back around. Now, cheetahs are the fastest land animal on Earth. They reach speeds of over 60 miles an hour in about 3 seconds. Cheetahs also hunt primarily during the daytime instead of cover of night like lions or tigers. They depend heavily on their stealth and their speed. Their nighttime vision is just not up to par, so they're, again, a daytime hunter. See a second cheetah laying up on the hillside here. Another one of the cheetah's most helpful adaptations are its non-retractable claws. Cheetahs keep their claws out all the time. It's going to help them grip the dirt better, kind of like an athlete wearing cleats. Now, while cheetahs are a large cat, they're not necessarily classified as a big cat, like say a lion or a tiger. That's because they cannot roar. Cheetahs are actually only big cats that can purr. Up ahead is a rock formation known as a kopje. If we're lucky, it's a pretty good place to look for lions. They like the different elevations of these rocks to look out for their pride and spot prey. The lions can be pretty tricky. They are nocturnal, so they won't be their most active till when? At night, yeah. Lions see about 6 times better at night than they do during the day. It's not unusual to find lions remaining inactive for upwards of 20 hours. Tend to do a lot more lying around. Oh, and there he is, the male lion, and beside him are a couple of females. This is the lioness. The beautiful mane on that male lion is not there just to make him look pretty, although he is awfully handsome. It's there to protect his throat and his neck when he battles against other male lions for territory and for females. Now at night, once the sun sets and these lions get their most active, it's going to be the male lion who stays home and protects the pride and the cubs. It'll be the adult females, the lioness, to go out to do the hunting. These ladies are bringing home the bacon. Can anyone tell me the Swahili word for lion? Simba.
The only one I can now.
I think I see a warthog just on the other side of these roots here on your left side. Kind of a big furry bump in the dirt there. Just to the left of this tree out in the middle. Warthogs are the world's largest burrowing mammal. They use their tough snouts, their strong front feet, and their big tusk stick grows right out into the mud. Warthogs are in the same family as domesticated pigs, but don't let that fool you. They're very territorial and very aggressive. They will use their tusks to defend themselves in their burrows. On our right side, a couple of brown antelope out there called bontebok. Bontebok are close relatives of the white-bearded wildebeest. They're also a conservation success story. In the early 20th century, there were fewer than 20 of them left in the wild. They were hunted extensively for their lyre-shaped horns. But thanks to the hard work of African farmers, they took their land and doubled it as a protected land for those animals, and since then their populations have rebounded. Really impressive because most conservation efforts weren't recognized in Africa until the 1950s. Out to our right side now, you see the largest bird in the world. This is the ostrich. Ostrich are going to be about 9 feet tall, full grown. Despite having wings, they cannot fly, thank goodness, but they're able to reach speeds of up to 40 miles an hour. They also have a kick that's strong enough to kill a human. Coming up on our right side here, you see a couple of black and white birds. These are yellow-billed storks. Also laying back in the clearing there is an antelope called the scimitar horned oryx. Yellow-billed storks are a carnivorous bird, also known as an opportunistic feeder. That means they're going to eat pretty much anything that they can catch. So those things like snakes and lizards, fish and small rodents, sometimes smaller birds, really whatever fits the bill. The scimitar horned oryx, they are native to the dry and arid desert of northern Africa. They go up to 9 months without a fresh source of water, getting most of the water that they need from the plants that they eat. But with that, everybody, unfortunately our time together it is starting to come to an end. I gotta get you back to the nearest sports post. I do hope you got to see some of your favorite African animals, and I hope you might have learned something new about them. But most of all, I hope that you've seen that no matter where you're from or where you're going, we can all have a positive impact on the lives of these animals, whether that's getting involved in the Disney Conservation Fund or something as easy as recycling to make sure you're helping to protect natural habitats. There are so many different things that we can do to help. You're taking the first step by being here today and learning about these animals, and don't forget that it is you and I who are these animals' greatest allies against the ongoing fight against habitat loss, poaching, climate change, all very real threats that affect these animals and the natural we share with them every single day. If you want to get to know more about African wildlife, when you get back to the Warden's Post, be sure to keep up that path and to the right. Take a walk down the Gorilla Falls Exploration Trail. From there, you might be able to see a family troop of western land gorillas, slender-tailed meerkats, and another one of my favorite animals, the naked pole rat. For any wilderness explorers on board today, you have been riding the Simba 1, Simba like the lion, and one like number 4, 2. Now, after all these adventures, let's not say goodbye. It's far too sad, and it's way too final. Instead, in Harambe, we like to say Paharini, and that means to go well. So, Paharini, everyone. My name's Melissa. Have a beautiful day out here in Africa, or wherever your adventures may take you. Travel Warden!